Namaste and welcome, my dear friends, to the 13th class of the Bhagavad Gita. As always, we shall begin our class with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Bhagwan Krishna, Jesus Christ, Mahavatar Babaji, Lehri Mahashay, Swami Shri Yukteswar Ji, Beloved Gurudev Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, Saints and sages of all religions, humbly we bow at thy feet. Beloved Lord Krishna, in the language of my soul, I demand realization of thy presence. Thou art the essence of everything. Help me to feel thee in every cell of my body, in every fiber of my being, in every wisp of thought and emotion. Awaken my heart, Lord. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let us now invoke the presence of the Gurus by singing the hymn to Brahma, followed by a chant. Let's take a few moments to visualize the Guru at the point between the eyebrows, to bring ourselves to this moment, to integrate all our energies, and with the next inhalation, to raise the energy up to the spiritual eye and offer ourselves at the feet of the infinite. Take a moment to visualize Yogananda at the spiritual eye. Mentally invoke his presence there. Invite him in your life. Ask for his help to improve your understanding to the highest knowledge of yoga and of God. May he be with us and bless us always. Om. So dear friends, today is 12th September 2024, and it was on 12th September 1948 that Swami Kriyananda, after having traveled non-stop from New York to Los Angeles, met Paramhansa Yogananda in the Hollywood Church of the Self-Realization Fellowship. And there he said to Yogananda the words even he hadn't thought of. And those very special words were, "I want to be your disciple." And in saying those words and being accepted by Master as his disciple, he opened the door for all of us also to be the disciples of the great Master that Paramhansa Yogananda is. So we can express our gratitude to Swamiji for creating that platform from where we can access our Guru and from where we can attune ourselves to the Guru. And we can also thank Swamiji for making the spiritual path, which can otherwise be very grave and serious, but to add to that joy and loving element to the spiritual journey, so that as we go on the way, the grass becomes greener with every step. So thank you, Swamiji. And of course, thank you, Master, for everything. So we come back to the study of the Gita, and we are on chapter 2. In the last class, we studied how finally Arjuna says to Krishna that, "Oh Govinda, I am not going to fight." And then how Govinda, Krishna, his smilingly says to Arjuna. And we understood that the smile is the inner smile, where although the devotee is in the middle of a conflict, but yet because of his past meditative action, because of his past relationship with God, he does feel an intuitive presence of God within him. And that very presence speaks to him in an inner voice. And Krishna says to Arjuna here that it is not useful. In fact, the wise man does not mourn over anyone, whether living or dead. And then he also goes on to say that all these royal ones who are on the battlefield, and including Arjuna and Krishna, it is not that it is the first time they are here on earth, or that it will be the last time that they will be here on earth. So in that shloka, Krishna easily mentions the continuity of life. And then he also goes on to say, like, just as the the eye experience continues from childhood to youth to old age, similarly, it also continues beyond the gulf of physical death, and it continues into other bodies. So actually, there is no real annihilation. And explaining thus, Krishna then tells Arjuna, he talks about how sensory experiences are experienced, and that all experiences of heat and cold, of pleasure and pain, they're all transitory, they all arise and they cease, and they must be taken with an equanimous mind by the devotee. And that is what Krishna says to Arjuna. And as we were ending the class last time, we discussed how this is possible, that how Sri Yukteswarji has also explained that this body and the human existence of the human being is also just a collection of 35 ideas, where all the sensory experiences, the motor abilities, and how the antahakaran, man, buddhi, ahamkar, chitta, they all come together and create an experience for the human. And this also experience, just as anything else, like any wave, the human body also arises and it ceases. And all the sensory experiences also arise and they cease. All our emotions arise and they cease. All our thoughts arise and they cease. So just for example, if you have the emotion of anger, you know that at a certain point it arises, and after a particular point, which may be different for different people, it will cease. That emotional wave will go away. Similarly, the experience of taste, if you put food in your mouth, the experience of taste will arise, and once you swallow the food, then the experience of taste will cease. So that's what Krishna is saying, that everything is temporary, everything will arise and cease. The problem happens when we associate ourselves with these experiences, and we start to say that, you know, these whether these experiences are likable or not likable, and we start to get attached to these experiences. So here is what happens when the antahakaran, or the four elements of the mind, as explained in the shastras, they come into interplay. So when the senses carry data into into the mind, then the mind simply perceives a collection of ideas or data. Then the same energy is then referred to the intellect, and the intellect converts the perception into a conception. So for example, if there is a flower, so the senses of vision and the senses of my smell, the fragrance of the flower, both will report some data to the mind. Then the intellect will analyze the data received, and it will say that this is a flower. And then the chitta, or the feeling aspect, will come into being, and the judgment will be passed whether it is a beautiful or a nice flower, or whether it is an ugly thing, and whether it smells good or it does not smell good. So a judgment is started to pass here, and the emotions have started to, you know, get involved at this level. And then of course the egoity or the I-ness comes in, and the I-ness combines the perception, the conception, and the judgment, and the likability or dislikability of the thing to the I, and says, I am seeing this flower. It is beautiful to look at. It smells wonderful, and I want to own it. So here such a complexity is added to the situation, and therefore we get all mixed up, and this is where the problem starts to arise. And therefore, when we say yogas chitta vritti nirodha, we are actually cancelling out the level of the judgment, means the emotional feeling. So the level at which the emotions start to play and say, I like it and I don't like it, if we can neutralize those currents in our mind, and of course with that the I-ness can also become separate, then we will not be personalizing these experiences. We will be just seeing them as phenomena in the world we are living in. And we will not say that I want it, or I want to cling to it, or I want to crave for it, or I'm going to chase for it. So that is why the practice of yoga or dhyana or Raja Yoga, as we say, which is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, is the way to prevent yourself to get attached to this world. And in attachment, what happens is when we see something beautiful and we cling to it, then we do not want the experience to end. We want more and more of the same experience. So we keep chasing more and more. Either we want more number of those experiences, or we want more variety of those experiences. And so again, desire, attachment, liking, not liking, and all of that get mixed up together, and it creates, then we have to act on it, and that karma that is created, that binds us to the cycle of birth and death. So therefore what Raja Yoga does is it breaks the bridge between the I-ness and the pure conception and perception. And that's how it separates the seen, the seer and the seen. In the sense, it helps you to understand that you are the seer, you are the experiencer, which is apart from the phenomenon of seeing, of the act of seeing. And therefore, it helps you, to come towards your atmic nature. And on the other hand, if we analyze Jnana Yoga, what Jnana Yoga does is it transcends and blows up the I itself. So out of the Man, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta, Jnana Yoga will focus on the Ahamkara, and it will tell you that Ahamkara itself is a delusion, and it blows that away, that concept from us away, and helps us to see the reality that all experiences are just one moment after another, the interplay of the sense organs, the sense objects, and the ability of seeing, or the ability of the power of using these sense organs. So that is why all yogas are very beneficial. What bhakti will do here? Bhakti will again work on the I-ness, and it will dissolve the I in the larger I of the Atman or the spirit. And what will karma do? Karma will expand your I from this little I, me, mine personality to other human beings, to other souls, to all other sentient and insentient beings. And from there, so expansion of the ego will cut away the limitations that you have put on this body, mind, and personality. So Krishna not only is telling you that these are experiences, do not take them personally, just allow them to pass. Just as you watch a movie, you should also, as a third person, become a witness and watch the movie of your own life without investing too many emotions in it, and without getting attached to it, without wanting to grasp this moving picture that is happening. And remember that everything, although our body appears to be relatively stable, we know how it is just a movement of subatomic particles. Everything is in constant flux. Everything is in constant motion. It is bound to change. There is no point in clinging to anything, because clinging means attachment, means nothing but pain. So Krishna will advise us again and again how we can get rid of our suffering. There is another interesting thought about this, is that until our mind is impressed by the outer circumstances, it really does not lead to suffering. So for example, if there is a parents are living in the village, and suppose their son is living in the city, and suppose some accident happens and the son dies. Now, there may be a gap of, let's say, 2-3 days between the death of the son and the reporting of the incident to the parents. Now, even though the son dies, and even though they may have some intuitive, feeling that something is not right, but until actually they receive the news of the death of the son, their sorrow is not as much, because their mind has not accepted the news. So for the first 2-3 days, even though the son has died, but because that incident has not reached as news to them and their mind has not registered it, therefore the pain or the sorrow in their heart is not as much. So it's only when the mind receives that, acknowledges it, and accepts it as my own, that this is, oh, my son has died. So when this thing actually dawns upon the mind, only then the sorrow follows. So again, here we see that the Man, Buddhi, Ahamkar, and Chitta, all of them play together. And by using various yogas, we can actually dissociate all of them. And if we dissociate and dissect all of them, then the sorrow can be reduced. Of course, this does not mean that if you're a Jnana yogi, then you will have no sorrow if you get the news of your children dying, but it does not affect you as much. Now, don't think that this is not being human. This is actually seeing everything impersonally and rising over suffering, which is both the right and duty of every human living on this planet. Each one of us in suffering is involved in worldly suffering in various ways, and it is our right and our duty to rise above suffering, to be able to see disease, decay, old age, and death as a universal phenomenon. We must be able to accept it. Now, what happens is, in our daily life, we are so living limited lives. In my case, I would say, since I'm a medical professional, so we do see disease, decay, death pretty much, very frequently. But for people who are not in the medical field, they are living their cocoon lives, and they do not visit hospitals, and they do not see suffering on a daily basis. So they think that suffering does not exist. And then when something happens in the family, it comes as a shock. Now, why should it come as a shock? Is it not a universal phenomenon that if you are in this body, the body will have disease, it will decay, there will be old age and related problems, there will be death. Then why should you be suddenly surprised and shocked if one of your family members gets involved with this? The whole world is getting involved with this. Everybody is going through like this. So if we can be open-minded, if we can analyze impersonally that this is the phenomenon of human life and that there is suffering in this world, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, it is so it is. And it is wisest for the yogi to accept the situation, and only then can he even question that why do I have to suffer. Only then will he say that, okay, I want to rise above this suffering. So it is very, very imperative that we meditate on these things. And in fact, in Buddhism, there are certain meditations which are designed specially around death, to visualize that how the body can decay, or how your body is going to suddenly one day be dead. And if it is not cremated, then it is going to be eaten up by parasites, by bacteria, by viruses. It is going to rot. It is going to mix with the earth. So this is all reality. By saying that, oh, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to see it, it's not going to disappear. It is what it is. And we might as well see it for what it is. And then ask ourselves, what can I do? And therefore, the Guru has come in our life to tell you what must you do if you want to avoid this repetitive cycle of old age, disease, decay, and death. Okay. So we come to the next shloka, which is shloka number 15. And a very important point also Master says here is that when a man adopts a non-excitable state towards sorrows, a non-attached state towards temporary happiness, a stoicism towards irritants that rouse fear and anger and pain, his mind attains an unruffled state of poise. So he's saying three things. First, he's saying that when there is temporary happiness in your life, then you should not be attached to it. Second, he is saying when there is sorrow in your life, it should not be an excitable state. So I'm not talking about excitement as in the happy, pleasurable excitement, but a movement in the chitta, in the feelings towards melancholy or tragedy. It is a movement in the chitta, nothing else. And third is a stoicism towards irritants, means again, if you have heat and cold, so remaining calm and centered. If you can do this, then your mind will come in a state of unruffled poise. And what is the advantage of bringing the mind in such a state of calmness is like a still lake. Because only when your mind is free from all the whirlpools and all the waves and the wavelets, will it be able to reflect spirit. That means your atmic self will be reflected in your own mind, and you will be able to clearly see yourself as the Atman only when the mind is unruffled. So Master is not saying here that, oh, it would be, better if you can calm your mind, and you must calm your mind. Because unless you calm your mind, you will not know who you are. And unless you don't know who you are, that you are the Atman, then all the sorrows and sufferings that we are talking of in this world, they are going to continue. Okay, so it's kind of, it's a directional thing for us. Okay. Now we come to shloka number 15. And here the Gita says, Yam hina vyatyantyete purusham purusharshabha sam dukh sukham dhiram soha amrita tvaya kalpate. हे पुरुष श्रेष्ठ अर्जुन, वह व्यक्ति जो इनसे यानी इंद्रियों के विषयी वस्तुओं के साथ संपर्क से विचलित नहीं होता, वह जो सुख और दुख में शांत एवं समचित रहता है, केवल वह ही अमरत्व को प्राप्त करने के योग्य होता है. O flower among men, Arjuna, he who cannot be ruffled by the contacts of the senses with their objects, who is calm and even-minded during pain and pleasure, He alone is fit to attain everlastingness. So this is a very tall order. Again, this is not, the scripture will not soften itself for you. It is we who have to rise to meet the truth of the scripture. So whether we want it or not, or we think it is easy or not, but we have to be even-minded, calm during pain and pleasure, because only then we will be fit to achieve everlastingness. So if we want to completely and forever transcend our sorrows, then this is the path being told to us. And the practice of techniques like Kriya Yoga is it's such a great tool that you don't have to beat yourself to be calm and even-minded. By regular practice of Kriya Yoga, you find that the vrittis in the mind or along the chakras, they get reduced, and the ability of the outer circumstances to ruffle your mind, it decreases, and you remain calm and calm, more and more calm with every passing day. Your ability to handle the outside world, your ability to respond to the outside world rather than reflexively acting, that starts to change. So therefore, it's not that you have to really punish yourself that no, this is a very pleasurable, I'm not going to jump. And on the other hand, you say, oh, this is very sorrowful, I'm not going to go into melancholy. But naturally, without an extra thought, if you are regularly meditating, you will automatically be able to become closer and closer to the state of calmness. Okay. So Master goes on to further explain this, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but we have to swallow it. Master says, in the world of duality, if one knows pleasure, he must know pain. And they both spring from desire. You cannot have one without the other. Once your desire is fulfilled, you will feel pleasure. If your desire is contradicted, then you will feel pain. They will both go hand in hand. If any of us says that I want pleasure, but I don't want pain, then this is not going to work, because they are two sides of the same coin. From absolute existence, when creation has come into being, it has to follow a dual nature, an up and a down. There has to be opposing faculties. Without those opposing dualities, this world drama cannot happen. And in fact, if there was no pain, then pleasure will not seem pleasurable at all. If there is no darkness, then light will not appear to be light. If there is no up, there is no down. If there is no right, there is no left. You see, without the opposite happening, you will never appreciate the existence of both. And remember that they will always coexist. इस जीवन में सुख और दुख हाथ पकड़ के एक साथ ही चलने वाले हैं. Both of them, happiness, sorrow, are going to be side by side. And of course, eventually the aim of the yogi is to come to the center of both these. So instead of going up when there is pleasure, instead of going down when there is pain, the yogi tries to be in the midpoint. And from here, he can appreciate, so he can witness both pleasure and pain without his antahakarna, without his emotions getting too much ruffled up. And this requires a lot of training. It requires regular meditation. It requires the Guru's grace. And every next time you ask, when there is pain in your life, if you ask why there should be pain in my life, then also ask why should there be pleasure in my life. Therefore, if you want to transcend pain, you also have to transcend pleasure. And so we have to stop the seeking in the outside world for pleasure, because once we stop that seeking, automatically the pain will stop. Now, that does not mean that we become rock or stone and we are just sitting on one corner and seeing everything, but it means that you kind of separate yourself. You do become a witness to the drama of life, and you laugh when there needs to be laughter, and you do cry when the scene is which demands tears, but in the inside, you are untouched. In the inside, you always remember that there is arising and there is ceasing. This is temporary, this will come and this will go. And an easy way to kind of reduce the pain during suffering is if you can consciously blunt your excitement level. So when the situation in your life is pleasurable, instead of getting a spike of excitement, if you can blunt it even a little, if you can control your pleasure and excitement during that time, you will find when the life goes down, even that peak, that trough will be also blunted. So over a period of time, you have to be very alert as to regarding outer circumstances. Where are my emotions going? Am I feeling too excited in myself? Am I feeling too sorrowful in myself? And how can I change that? The easiest way of changing or blunting these and coming to the center is to involve and invoke God in every experience that you're having. So if your life is showing you some pleasurable experiences, you immediately refer it to God and say, thank you, God, for this experience. Thank you for the joy that I experience in this. And thank you for this passing vision that you are showing me. I recognize that it is you who is behind this. And similarly, if there is painful circumstance in your life, you immediately call upon God and you say, God, I'm feeling sorrowful or painful during this passing scene. I know even this is coming for you and I am finding it difficult to handle it. Please be with me and help me to handle it. So if whether you are in pleasure or in a state of pain, in both cases, if you invite God to be a partner of that experience, you will find that it is easy to stay in the calm center of your being, because you will always remember that all the passing scenes of your life are coming by because of God. He is actually, consciously bringing these experiences to you. And we should always remember why these experiences are coming, because they are trying to teach us an unlearned lesson which we have not learned earlier. So immediately also refer whether the experience is pleasurable or painful. Immediately ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Now, the thing about pleasure is that when we are in a state of pleasure, we have no concern about why it is there. But immediately, as soon as we have pain, that this question at least should arise then. Why pain? What is it trying to teach me? So if you, again, you have, this is a training perpetually that you have to do yourself. Instead of crying in difficult circumstances, ask yourself, what is trying to happen here? What must life teach me? What am I to learn? God, please help me to learn what you are trying to teach me. So if you do that, then what Krishna is saying here, that sambhav, that equanimity in pleasure and pain, that will come to us. So this, here also one beautiful tip that Master gives us, that how to rise above duality. So we know that all the chakras lower than the fifth chakras, they have both a positive and a negative pole. And the spiritual eye, or the Agya chakras, positive pole down. At this point, we know that duality gets converted into a non-dual existence. We know that Krishna consciousness, Christ consciousness, Kutastha Chaitanya, it exists over here. So Master says, if you can focus at the point between the eyebrows as often as possible, and of course, all the time in meditation, but even during the day, if you can live your life more through the spiritual eye, then you are living from a non-dual level of consciousness. And from there, it will be very easy for you to see the rising and the ceasing of pleasure and pain, and not to get involved and attached with this pleasure and pain. So these are tips which are not just to, we hear them and we close the book and we forget them. No, every day practice more and more living through the spiritual eye. And you will find that the sorrows and of course, the excitements and those will also become more a calm, a happy feeling in you, which is more permanent in your life and it lasts longer. Okay. So we come to shloka number 16. नासतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टो अन्तस्त्व नयोस्त्वद्दर्शिभिः. असत वस्तु का कोई अस्तित्व नहीं होता है, सत का कोई अभाव नहीं है, इन दोनों का अंतिम सत्य ज्ञानी जन जानते हैं। Of the unreal there is no existence, of the real there is no non-existence. The final truth of both of these is known by men of wisdom. Okay, so now this appears to be a very difficult verse to understand. What is real? What is unreal? How do we know what is the difference between the real and the unreal? And where do we go from here? So what we are being told here, and Master explains that the existence of the ocean is permanent as compared to the existence of the wave on it. So the ocean always exists, the wave will arise and will cease. And you cannot expect the wave to stay permanent. Both, so what is the commonality between the wave and the ocean? The commonality is that both are made of the H2O molecule. So if instead of associating our life or ourself with a little wave or with this little mind and personality, and forgetting that we are part of the large ocean of existence, if we stay separate, then we stay in a state of unreality. Because just like a wave, the human life, which is only about, let's say, max of around 100 years, it's going to come and it's going to go. And with that, all the fears and the anxieties will come and go. So therefore, if we associate ourselves with the truth that the real existence is of the ocean, and actually even beyond that of the H2O molecule, means our real nature is of the Atman, or of Brahman, or of that one spirit, that we are made of one spirit, and that truth cannot change. And the rest of the drama of life that is happening, that is temporary, just like a movie playing on a screen. So the screen is permanent, but because of a play of light and shadows, a real time movie which appears real to our senses, it starts to play. So if we associate ourselves with the playing movie, then automatically we will have all the emotions and the dramas that is happening in the movie. But even in the midst of the movie, if we are able to remember that we are the underlying substratum made of Brahman or spirit, or we are of the Atmic nature, and that we cannot change, that we cannot die, when that happens, then even in the midst of the movie, we do enjoy the movie more, and even the tragedies of the movies we can appreciate. We can say, oh wow, the director has done such a great part, the actors have acted so well, even tragedies can be great pieces of art. So we can enjoy all the changing phases of the movie of our life, always remembering that our reality lies in the unchanging ocean, or in the unchanging existence, consciousness, bliss, which is our real nature. Now, again, a very interesting aspect of Jnana Yoga and Raja Yoga. So what happens is, if you want to know, imagine that in a movie hall, a movie is playing, and the hall is dark, and because of the playing movie, you cannot see the screen. So you do not understand that this ability of the movie to play is because of the light and shadow and because of the presence of the screen. Now, how do you realize that the screen is the reality? So there are two ways. One is the way of the Jnana Yogi. The Jnana Yogi brings in the light of knowledge. So suppose you were to brightly lit the entire cinema hall, and you find that you can see the screen then. The other way is to pause the light and shadow that is coming from the projector. So when you do dhyan, or when you do Kriya Yoga, then you can go into that breathless state, and also breathless means a thoughtless state. So that is like pausing the movie for some time. And once you pause the movie, then you can see the reality of the screen behind. Or the other way, as we said, is switch on the light of knowledge within you and know that the screen is the only reality and the movie is just a passing phenomenon. And therefore, again, by using all the yogas, by using wisdom, by using the power of love, which is inherent in us, by ability of self-control, the ability to control our prana, by using all these faculties, and with the help of Krishna, we can win this war where we need to just know the reality of the screen and the movie. If you are always aware, that this life that we are living in a particular personality is only temporary. This body that we think is our very own is a temporary house in which the soul is living just for a few years. If we do not forget this reality, then automatically the desires of this world will reduce, the attachments to this world will reduce, the clinging, the craving, the chasing, everything will reduce. You will know that you're just here to enjoy the passing phenomenon. You are not here to own anything in this world. The problem is we want to own up everything. I like this, I want this, I want this person, I want this object, I want this house, I want this car, I want this job. It's all a passing phenomenon. So if we understand that truth, and if we see what is real, what is the real substratum of our existence, there we will automatically get a little detached, or no, we'll have vairagya for the temporary, or the which is asat, or non-truth, or non-existence. And that's what Krishna is telling us, that the wise will know the difference between what is real, permanent, and pure absolute existence, as opposing to what is transitory and what is not you. So the real I is the Atman. And in all of this, the I-ness, the pure I-ness of existence does not, so that is not annihilated. We are not annihilated if we do this. So mostly people fear that, what about me? The little me expands into the larger me, the one, the whole absolute existence, which is you. So don't forget, when we talk of these things, don't think of we are talking of attaining God somewhere outside ourselves or in some other space or time. We are talking of right now, right here in myself, attaining my own pure nature, not something else or something away or somewhere else, you know. So always remember, we are talking of us and coming back to our own true home in our true real existence, which is transcendent, away from all sorrow and suffering. Okay. A very interesting thing also Master adds here in his explanation. He says there are two ways of perceiving a substance. One is as the changeless spirit, and the other is as the changing creation. That's what we were saying, the changeless substratum and the changing creation. Now, if your energy and your attention is going in the right direction, means towards perception of true spirit, then you are in a state of anulom. Anulom means correct direction. And if your per mind and your energy is going in a direction which is opposing to reality, and you're getting involved only in the senses and this world, then you are going in the direction which is called vilom. So anulom vilom. Now let's come to the simple technique of anulom vilom pranayam, where we know that when we breathe in and the energy in the ida rises, it goes up towards the spiritual eye. And when we do in the state of vilom, the energy goes down through the pingala towards the lower chakras. So that means simply by using techniques like Kriya Yoga, if we go more towards anulom and establish, so we raise the energy through the chakras towards the spiritual eye, only then we will be able to correctly perceive the reality of this world. As many times as your energy goes down into your lower chakras and gets trapped in attachments, that is the direction of vilom, and that is the opposing direction, and you will not be able to attain enlightenment or salvation or freedom or whatever you want to call it. You cannot do that. So therefore, or forever your direction of energy should be inward and upward. And Master said, focus at the spiritual eye. Of course, you have to do the things of this world, so you can do simultaneously, in an inner bhav, you can keep attention on God. As whenever you have free time, you can do conscious deep breathing, raising your energy to the spiritual eye. And on the outside, you can use your, the ability to love others, and you use your work to serve God in others. And when you combine all of these things, then we will be able to reach to the truth of our own existence. Okay. So we come to shlok number 17. Avinashi tu taddidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyaya syasya na kaschit kartumarhati. अविनाशी तो उसे जानो जिसके द्वारा प्रत्येक वस्तु अभिव्यक्त है और जो जगत में व्याप्त है। इस अविनाशी का नाश करने में कोई भी समर्थ नहीं है। Know as imperishable the one by whom everything has been manifested and pervaded. No one has power to bring about the annihilation of this unchangeable spirit. So what is being said here? Master says, the one life that breathes into existence all temporal things, forming them out of his own being, is indestructible, everlasting. Though all changeable objects of creation melt away, nothing affects the immutability of God. So here, Krishna and Master are saying that we must go beneath the superficial phenomenon. So we must go to the unifying factors and the real power which is running this creation, because the real power which runs this creation is changeless and it cannot be destroyed. So, for example, we may see, multiple types of flowers in the garden. One is red, one is yellow, one is orange. They have different fragrances. The plants have different leaves. But if we go further deeper into their existence, we find that the common things that are necessary for their existence are sunlight, our water, our soil, our minerals. So even the same sunlight can produce flowers of different colors and fragrances. And similarly, if we go deeper into the existence of the soil and the sun and the water, we find that the 5 elements, the Panch Tattva, are responsible for them. So the same 5 elements in different combinations are creating different created beings, whether it is the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom or it is human life. And if we go even beyond the elements, who is creating those 5 elements? That one creator is the common substratum of all that exists, and that one creator cannot be annihilated. And the good thing is that I and God, means my existence, my substratum and the substratum of God is one common. Therefore, I as pure existence also cannot be annihilated, and therefore my existence is also as eternal, as infinite as that of the infinite Brahman. So I am that. So once we realize that, once we go deeper and deeper, we realize the truth of what is destructible and what is indestructible. Now, for a simple daily life example to understand this, we can see that the same electricity can cause the bulb to give light. It causes the fan to move in a mechanical motion. It causes the loudspeaker or speaker to create sound. It causes the TV or the computer screen or the phone to create some visual phenomenon. But if we go beyond, see the basal level knowledge is that it's one electricity. The same power can give different qualities and features to different instruments. Similarly, human bodies are different variegated instruments. The plants are different instruments. But what is the common power which is enabling all of these? And that one power of God is indestructible. And that same power is running through me. I am also that. Okay. Then Guruji says, when man through meditation perceives his identity as the unchangeable spirit, he is not tortured by change. So now where is your mind? Is your mind constantly following change? Or is your mind by meditation quietening itself and pausing and just looking at change as a witness? Now therein will depend what experiences, how you are experiencing life. Whether you are able to see it as a passing movie or you are that actor on the stage who has forgotten that he is only an actor. That, when he's dying, he doesn't know that he's acting. So he's completely so sorrowful that he's taken up by melancholy. But a person who knows he's only acting for a time, he knows that he has to just, act that he's dying, but he knows he's not dying. And that same person, if you have seen theater, you would know that same person will come as a beggar, and in another role, when the scene shifts, he will come as a king, dressed up as a king. Then in another scene, he will come as a lawyer. So actually the person remains the same, but just by changing his costumes and just by changing his dialogues and the role that he's presenting, he appears to be different. Similarly, we play so many different roles in different lives, and these bodies are like mere garments, which we'll also discuss, as we go on with this study. So let us not be so attached to this temporary role. Let us be more attached to the one reality of God, the one reality of Brahman. Let us be attached to the absolute existence. Once we are anchored in our absolute existence, we are steadfastly knowing who we are, then this drama will appear like a drama and it is supposed to entertain us and educate us. And it will then solve its real purpose, only then. Okay. Shloka number 18. Antavant ime deha nitya sokta sharirinam anashino aprameyasya tasmadyudhasva bharata. ये शरीर रूपी वस्त्र नाशवान कहे गए हैं। इनमें रहने वाली जीवात्मा अपरिवर्तनीय, अविनाशी और अनंत है। इस ज्ञान के साथ हे अर्जुन तुम युद्ध करो। Regarded as having a termination of existence are these fleshy garments. Immutable, imperishable, and limitless is the indwelling self. With this wisdom, O descendant of Bharat, Arjuna, battle thou. So again, we've just reached what we were talking of in the last shloka. This next shloka has presented us with exactly that information and saying, see your body as a garment. It's a mere garment, just like if you just take a moment to look at yourself, if you're wearing a shirt, you clearly see your shirt and you say, I'm not this shirt. And going inside, you will say, I'm not this vest that I'm wearing. I'm not the belt that I'm wearing. I'm not the watch that I'm wearing. I'm not the phone that I'm carrying. You can easily say that. But a true yogi who has been able to detach himself by practice of meditation and has experienced himself or herself as the pure essence of spirit, knows that even this body is just like a shirt or a vest or a belt or a watch, which is going to be discarded once it gets old. Once its time is up, it is going to be discarded. And the truly wise do not mourn over this, because they know completely that they are not dying when this body is dying. When the body is killed, the mind is also not killed. Leave alone the soul. The soul can never be killed. So the mind, in its conglomerate of ideas and energy patterns and habit tendencies, that goes on. The body only falls at physical death. So unless we, clear ourselves of this delusional thought that physical death is going to be the end of us, we are never going to get anywhere. And how do we get to this point of understanding that physical death is not the end of things? By regular meditation. Every day, by practicing Kriya Yoga or whatever meditation technique that you have, or by practicing Gyan or Bhakti, whichever path of yoga that your tendency is, each day when you practice and you perceive the first-hand truth in yourself, when you can truly say to yourself that I can experience myself as peace, as love, as joy, and in its pure state, to whatever degree. And more with each passing day and meditation, you will know that once the physical death comes, only the body will drop away, and you will continue. Maybe with our causal and astral bodies, we continue to other realms. And of course, if we have worked hard enough, we can of course go to the infinite realm, or we can be liberated finally into infinite freedom, where we have transcended all the three bodies. Okay. Very interesting thing Master says here. Master says, man should not be fearful to rise above the body, cause he will anyway have to leave the body at death. So ये तो छूटने ही वाला है, शरीर तो पीछे रहने ही वाला है. So don't be afraid of rising above it. He says you should concentrate on your inner pure existence, and you should therefore also not fear to fight with your senses. Because we know that annihilation of the senses is not annihilation of I or me. And therefore, I will not also be afraid to destroy the attachments of the body. So again, unless we have this clear understanding of who we really are, which happens only by practice of meditation or other yogas, how are we going to come to this state? Okay, shloka number 19. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau to na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. जो व्यक्ति समझता है कि आत्मा किसी को मारती है तथा जो ऐसा सोचता है कि इसे मारा जा सकता है, इनमें से किसी को भी सत्य का ज्ञान नहीं है। आत्मा ना तो किसी को मारती है और ना ही यह मरती है। He who considers the self as the slayer, he who deems that it can be slain, neither of these knows the truth. The self does not kill, nor is it killed. Okay, so this is a very important shloka where Krishna is clearly saying that you, the self, the Atman, cannot kill and it cannot be killed. Now, what does this mean? To understand, let us take a few examples. Now, let us first take the example of a pot, of a clay pot, which has some water in it, and you can see the reflection of the shining sun in the water in the pot. So, we know that the real sun is shining, and in the small pot in front of us, in the water, we can see the reflection of the sun. Now, if you kill the pot, means if you destroy the pot and the water spills away, the reflection of the sun is destroyed. But is the real sun destroyed? No. If you bring another pot and put water in it, you will again get the reflection. So anybody who is thinking that by killing the pot, the real sun will be destroyed is foolish. Again, another example. Now you have a mirror in front of you and you are seeing your face in the mirror. Now, if someone comes and destroys the mirror, are you destroyed? No. It is only the apparent reflection of who you really are is destroyed. And also interesting part here. So now let us also let's keep a mirror in the open field, and only the size of the mirror will determine as to how much of the sky it can reflect. Now the sky is infinite, but it's because the mirror is small in size, it can only reflect a portion of that sky. So firstly, if we want that, I want to see the reflection of the entire sky, means I have to have a mirror which is as big as the sky. So therefore, Master says that in meditation, if you want to perceive God, then your consciousness has to expand from the limited body into omnipresence. And that's why Kriya Yoga and Master's techniques are for. Unless we expand the mirror of our mind or our consciousness to as big as omnipresence, we cannot completely feel the omnipresence within us, just like a small mirror is unable to reflect the entire sky. And if we were to break that small mirror, then nothing happens to the sky. The real sky, the real sun, and the real me does not be affected if the reflected medium is destroyed. Our bodies are like those pots, and our minds are like that water in the pot. And the awareness with which we work in this world is the reflected sun, means the pure consciousness or cosmic consciousness is there. And we, of course, know through the medium, it comes to Christ consciousness. At the spiritual eye, it becomes Kutastha Chaitanya. And then through the senses, it becomes reflected consciousness in the sense of awareness of this world. If we destroy the body, and even if the mind is annihilated, our existence as Christ consciousness and cosmic consciousness is not annihilated. Now, this has to be very, very clearly understood. And therefore, Krishna is saying that if you think that Atma can kill, that pure consciousness can kill somebody or it can be killed, then this is a false understanding, and false understanding leads only to pain. If we want to rise from pain into pure joy, then we have to rise from false or wrong understanding to correct understanding of who we are, of correct understanding of what this universe is made of, and what is the real power that is running me and this entire universe. Once I understand that truth, then the light of that clear understanding, that pure wisdom, That truth is going to free me. And just as Jesus said, the truth shall set you free. Only the truth will set us free. Only the pure knowledge of our true existence will set us free. And that is what Krishna, through all these shlokas, is explaining to Arjuna and pointing out as to you should fix your attention and be steadfastly identified with your pure self and not with this limited body and mind. With this thought, we will end today's class. And as always, we shall share the power and blessings of these teachings with souls everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Lord Krishna, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Let's chant 3 ohms and send out healing light and energy. Om. Om. Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, great Gurus, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.